Connecticut doing things right. What would my tax plan be? We just went through a legislative session where Republicans objected across the board to the Democrats' budget proposal. But majority Democrat, they got it rammed through. Republicans didn't even present an alternative budget. I think that's a bad idea, okay? Now, maybe it was because they were afraid of what it would look like. I think that's a horrible idea. Less horrible, but still bad, is not presenting a budget of your own because you think it's futile. Okay, it's going to get voted down. We're in the minority. We've heard that too often. And you don't make a stand like you should unless you put out an alternative proposal. Let me give you mine. And I've said this for over a year now. Okay, the right budget, which right now is about $21 billion a year in Connecticut. My number, 9.5. $9.5 billion, yeah, less than half. Which means that since only about 55% of our revenue comes from income taxes, the whole income tax can be scrapped. Okay? You could get away with a decent budget that funds the necessary things that the state does, and even some nice things, on less than 55%, less than 45% of what you do now. I presented this when I ran for governor. Not enough people paid attention. Let's go over why you don't need so much. It's because the nice things that the state does for other people and other groups, and even the environment, can be done individually and by organizations, both private and public. The environment's a little tricky. There's probably some need for environmental protection at the state level because it's very hard to secure when there's overarching air and groundwater issues on one person's property to another. So that probably is a necessary state function. Police and courts and convicting and putting people away, those are necessary state functions. Maybe fire protection is a necessary state protection function. Probably some aspects of transportation. Education becomes the then big cog. Is it a necessary state function? For 150 years, no. This country did fine on private education. We didn't have dullards populating all over the place in our offices and on our street corners. We educated fine. And private education today educates better, doesn't it, than the politically contorted public education, which has bad tendencies for many kids, yet it captures pretty much everybody because it's forced us all to pay in. Oh, we've paid in for so darn many years. We want to take advantage of public education. I think there should be still a place for the public education for people to choose, but to not have this monopoly on it and let people choose to go to the public school of any place. Don't be tethered to your district. Your district might not be doing what you want to, and you should have a choice, just like you as a consumer. When you go to the supermarket, should have a choice among salad dressings and a choice of different types of chicken that you can buy. Isn't it more important to have a choice in education? So, I'll still keep education publicly funded. I'm not touching that. And I still end up with a budget of $9.5 billion, not 21. It means severe is a right word. It means proper restoration of having the government do the things that it was supposed to do and not these other things that are politically popular. Okay? Aiding certain groups of people helps get you elected, and it helps bankrupt the state. Doing certain regulatory activity sounds nice, but it gets undermined by a legal code that doesn't keep up with reality, that generally employers want to keep their employees safe, that property owners don't want to injure other people on their property or even neighboring properties. The convoluted extras that the state is requiring more and more of because it sounds good to politicians are what we need to scrutinize every single time. Laws deserve to be not added to, but removed. Are they fair and are they efficacious? If they don't do both, fairness and effectiveness, they should be stricken. And then we have a slimmed down state. It's good. And how do I know it's good? Because a slimmed down state, 48 of them, 50 once you add Alaska and Hawaii, but 48 states up until the early 1900s did fine without trying to do these extra functions that in the end probably have not helped our welfare at all. What has helped welfare? Private business, private charities, and when the state butts out, the people have the funds to do the business and the charities in a bigger way. So, when you slim down the state to that 9.5 level instead of 21, it doesn't mean that good services get whacked. It means that good services get privately funded, and they might get privately funded better, because I am the last person that wants to give my money to a dysfunctional government when I could instead give it directly to a functioning charity that doesn't have this bad intermediary. The good functioning charities will thrive. The okay functioning charities will get better so that they can raise more money and do better work. And the intransigent bad functioning group is going to go away. Intransigent meaning unchanging. Those groups that keep sucking money away and don't do good for their constituents are not going to be able to command like they do by just convincing a few legislators. And by the way, it is just a few. You saw in the last session the kind of log rolling that they do. Passing bills because, well, we're running out of time and it's kind of convenient without reading them all. Or even putting into legislation things that are agreed to not be objected to. Okay? It's just in a pass-through without even taking a vote. That's how we get $21 billion budgets instead of scrutinized, proper, I think, $9.5 billion budgets. Let's try it for a few years. If the sky starts to fall, we can go back to our old ways. I can't imagine our state getting worse with a smaller budget. I can see, with a smaller budget, a lot of people who might suddenly want to come to the state. I mean, who really wants to come to Connecticut now? If the job is really good, okay. But job aside, are we really that attractive when we have high taxes, property taxes and state taxes, when we have high regulations, when we have high prices? But when you have a government that is committed to making them smaller, suddenly I think we're a beacon. And we become like New Hampshire, which right now is the most attractive state in the Northeast. You want to settle in the Northeast, your money goes a lot further, your freedom is a lot better in that very Northeast state called New Hampshire. I'd like to be like them. They have a much slimmer budget per capita. They spend about 60% of what we do. All right.